if you really want to do it, then you'll do it with what you have available, and you'll just
Yeah.
grow as it grows. You'll buy more things. Like, I remember when I
Yeah.
started my business, I think I had like $50 worth of yarn.
So happy to welcome Glory from Crafting in Glory once again in the episode of the Crochet Podcast. This episode is a little bit different. It's not an interview, it's more a discussion about social media in general and about our experience. So we will try to give advice, but we just try because everybody is different. So it's mostly about our experience. So let's welcome Glory once again. Well, I'm so happy to have Glory again in the Crochet Podcast. The first episode went so good. I'm like, I want you again in the podcast.
I'm
Like,
so
it's just so
excited.
good
There's
to
so
talk
much
to
that we
you.
have to talk about.
Yes, and we were thinking about, okay, what next episode should we make? And I was like, I think we could talk about social media. And I thought that I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah, social media definitely has its ups and downs for me. And I definitely have a love-hate relationship with social media. Instagram in
I know,
particular.
same thing.
No, it's really not fun.
And I think we are not the same one in this situation. So I thought like maybe having an episode just about social media could be a good idea.
Yeah,
Like just give
it really
hope.
is. Because a lot of people like to put tips and tricks, but there's so much nuance to it that, like, it's hard to take all the tips and tricks that we always see and kind of
Yes.
compile them and try to make something out of those tips. Especially when sometimes tips will be like, don't put hashtags. And then another person will say a tip that's like, use hashtags, a lot of hashtags. And someone else will say, only use like 5 hashtags. And they're all conflicting and you really don't know.
That's true. Like a lot of information you see, like sometimes you feel you found like there is a guy that give advice and you're like, oh my god, I'm gonna follow exactly what he says, and it doesn't mean it's gonna work for you. It's really like a wide subject. So because you have so many followers on Instagram, I thought it would be interesting you talk about your experience.
That's so funny that you say that, because still to this day, I don't really think of me as having a lot of followers. I just think, oh yeah, we all just everybody found me that likes to crochet, and that's awesome. Like, I don't really think of it as like, wow, I have so many followers. I just think, wow, a lot of people like to crochet and like the thing, and I'm inspiring a lot of people that are so great. But I will say, unfortunately, a lot of people will ask me this question as well. And at first I would say, no, I don't really know, because I didn't really know. Like, I was we're all trying our best.
Yeah, really you just like try
what to do. Like, I used to do the thing where I would post on a set system, like a set schedule. I'd post like 1 post a week and then 2 reels a week, and they'd always be on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I would never alternate, and I would always keep the same schedule. And I think that's great if you really are like, okay, I'm gonna like make sure that when I start, I'm gonna like start running or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like over time, it's just not that great, because it's such an easy way to burn out, in my opinion.
True. Yes, you for sure burn out if you put like too much pressure on, like, like some people do like, oh, every day they post a reel or something.
Yeah.
I will burn out if I had an obligation to post every day.
And I did too, for sure. I tried doing that reel challenge and I only made it to like 5 days. And then I was like, no,
it's really hard.
This isn't working. I noticed that for us, I think the reels that really share the best are like when we're just, because crochet is art and everybody wants to get inspiration for their own art. So for all of us, making reels that show inspiration are always the reels that always get the most views, because we all want to compare,
I feel a lot of people that follow me, they want to see crochet creations, like they don't care about the rest. I have the feeling like it's more like every time I show a new pattern or a new creation, like people are excited and I get a lot of engagement. If I show something else, like sometimes I feel like, okay, I feel like sometimes people go on Instagram to find crochet inspiration for sure. Like every time you post a new thing, like people are excited. And
I agree.
if I post like something else, I sometimes I feel I have less engagement.
I think so too. And I've seen some people, some crocheters, I've seen them say the same thing. And so like some will try to like combat it by making like separate accounts. Like, oh, well, I like food and I like crocheting. So
Oh
I'll make a
yes,
crochet account and
yeah,
I'll also make a food account and I'll also make a fashion account, which I heard it helps a lot, especially if you already innately like social media as a person. Because some people just like social media, whether they have 0 followers or like a million followers, they're always going to want to
yes,
post. Like that's just like something that they like to do. So in that case, if that's something that like you like to do, I think that's always fun. Personally, for me, it's not always something I like to do unless I'm like inspired. Unless I have like a spark, then
yeah.
I'm like,
You
yeah.
so you don't do you feel like you share a little bit your personal life on your page or not?
Honestly, I don't think I do. Like, one big part of me is that I have 7 siblings, and I don't think I've ever said that in like any of the
I
videos.
didn't know that,
Yeah, I don't think
and
I've
I've been
ever said that.
following you for a while. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I don't actually share a lot about my personal life, funny enough. Maybe I do on like my YouTube sometimes, but like I noticed that I don't really do that just because I'm like, it's not related to crochet. So, and for the longest
I
time,
get
I
it.
always thought, just like you, oh, well, it's not related to crochet, so people aren't gonna like it, and it's just not gonna get as much engagement, and blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
The only thing that get engagement is when I show my pug.
Yeah, that too. I don't know what that's about, but I don't have a dog or a cat or any pets. So I can't
Maybe
do
you
that.
can show one of your
Oh,
siblings.
maybe I should. Maybe I should. I usually use them as like little test animals. Not to say that they're animals, but I use them as test
Yeah.
subjects because sometimes the plushies that I make, I'm like, ah, yes. Sometimes when you make a stuffed animal or like any sort of plushie in general, you can immediately imagine who it's gonna go to. You know what I mean? Like immediately the target
Yes.
audience is in your head. So sometimes I'll make a plushie and I'm like, oh, this is gonna go to a kid for sure, for sure. But then I'm like,
Yeah.
ah, now I need to make sure that it's kid proof. So I go kid proof it with all
Oh
the
yeah,
7 kids
true.
that I have, and it works out. And it works.
Oh wow, that's
But
good.
sometimes plushies are like for like adults. So I'll be like, it doesn't really need too much like playing around with. And I don't have to do a
Yeah.
whole lot.
Yes, that's true. I feel you know, like saying about that, like I think it's important to know your audience.
That
Also, like
oh
know what they want to see. Like,
yeah.
d- did you notice that? Like you know, like more you know your audience and more you know what they want to see and
Mm-hmm.
more engagement you get.
Yes, I will say I did notice that. And it's funny too because like sometimes like we'll all say like, "Oh, well, I don't want to post maybe you'll post like one post or reel or TikTok and it went really viral and then you think to yourself, "Okay, well, I don't want to do something different because if
Yeah.
it's not broken, don't fix it." And so they'll keep posting the same content and it does the same amount of success, it still does well, but like we'll just as artists kind of get bored because you know it's the
Yeah, you want
same.
to change
Yeah, that's
sometimes.
the
Yeah.
only thing that I feel like is a struggle sometimes because on social media it really is sometimes, honestly, a lot of times, if it's not broken, don't fix it, you know if one real type of real
Keep the
style works,
same recipe.
yeah, then it's like
Yeah.
don't break it. And you would think that everybody would be bored. That's what I always thought. I was like, well,
Yeah.
people are gonna get bored. But people don't really get bored of it, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, because I feel like your creations are always different every time, you know,
That's
like even
true.
if the
That's true.
recipe of the reel is the same, I feel like there is a surprise at the end and you're like, oh my
Yeah, that's
God,
because
like
I get bored. After doing one thing, I'll be like, time
that's
to do something
true.
else. I'm already over it now.
Yeah.
Gotta look for something else to do. But I feel like that's
So I
like, oh
sorry.
no, go ahead.
No, no,
Oh,
tell
I
me.
was literally gonna say, I feel like it's bad for us because it's like we get bored of our own like creation sometimes. It's just boring making the same thing over and over again sometimes, even though that's the best.
Yeah. That's why I make bags. That's why I make plushie. I
Yeah,
change because I get bored.
yeah, which is really great because that's the funny thing about you, Matilda. Like you made that flower bag a couple of months ago. the flower one that's like a daisy and it's kind of like 3D. Meanwhile, you made like the pumpkin plushie, the pumpkin latte one. They're two different
Yes, yes, yeah.
things, but they still garnered like the same amount of success, which is like, I think, pretty rare because a lot of times, we have to stay in our like niche lane.
Yeah. And I started from the beginning because I thought I always love bags and plushies. And I was like, okay, I need to choose what I'm gonna make, you
Mm.
know? And then I was like, maybe I can just train my audience to like to the fact that they will see a little bit of
Yeah.
everything, you know?
Well,
I
that's
feel
so
also you have to
interesting.
train your audience.
So that they're not surprised when you post something brand new. That.
Exactly. But I do feel like sometimes I lose engagement because of that, because sometimes I post a bag, so people will follow me for a bag.
Oh,
And then I
yeah.
post a plushie and people are like, oh, I wish he could have make a new bag.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's
true.
just the way it is. Like, it makes me more, I keep the passion,
Mm-hmm.
you know, thanks to doing
That's so
that.
true. And heard a lot of people that, they do like crochet accounts. And I've heard that like it's already hard enough to keep like a crochet business for longer than like maybe like 5, 6, 7 years. Just because, not even just because
Yeah.
of like getting arthritis or something, but
Yeah.
because like it's hard to just stay the same and like have the same niche and keep everybody engaged for so long, I suppose. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day too, where a lot of times for like crocheting and such, we're so used to just crochet accounts on social media, we're so used to having one account just do one thing and we go to them for one thing. And then when they do something different,
That's true.
it's a shock. And to the point where sometimes like people will just scroll on, even though you've been following this person for years, you'll just scroll on because you're like, well, they only make tote bags. I've never seen them make a plushie
Yeah.
before. That must mean it's not that person. So they'll scroll on because they don't
Yeah.
even recognize that it's your content because you made something completely different. And it sucks for us too because
Yeah.
the creativity, it's so easy for us to get zapped out of it, which is not great because then
Yeah.
it's super easy to just not post at all. Just because, oh, well, I'm posting the same things over and over again. I have to stay in this box, this little tiny little box. I can only post about knitted sweaters, or like I can only post about
Yeah.
crocheted cows, and you stick yourself into this box because social media kind of likes that. And it
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
really easily just dwindle your creativity until you're like, I don't really
Yeah.
want to post anymore. I've seen that happen a lot.
Yeah, I that's why I feel like being on different platforms also helped,
Mm.
because when I started creating content on TikTok, I felt like my audience knew me for whatever reason on Instagram. And then when you switch to another platform, you have a new chance to like renew yourself, you know, like
Really,
just post new creations and stuff like
it's
that
true.
and create a new
I was
audience.
I like doing that too sometimes. That does make sense. I also like to simply just do other hobbies. I learned that like if I just take
Yes.
time, I try to take a day. I used to just work every day and every week of every year except like Christmas, Easter, the like. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't really stop working. But I recently learned that I can't do that or else I'm going to be depressed or something. So, I always try to take a day, just like a day out of my week where I don't do any work. I switch off Instagram and TikTok. That's the
Yes,
end of work.
get off
And I
of
do
social
like a
media
different hobby
sometime.
or like a hobby. Like I'll crochet, but I'm not going to crochet plushies. I'll crochet clothes, and they'll be for me. And
Yeah,
because funny enough, I don't really
yeah.
crochet plushies. I never started crocheting plushies because I liked plushies. Well, I do, but I don't keep any of the plushies I make. Not a single one.
Yeah, you sell all of
Yeah,
them.
so
Yeah,
it's not, and it's just because I like things that are like practical and cute, but I also like cute things. So it clashes sometimes because you can't keep things
yeah,
that are only cute and have them be practical. But clothes are practical and cute because we have to wear clothes, but fashion exists.
exactly.
Yeah, and so I think that as long as you're able to do another hobby that maybe is just completely different from what you do for a living, it really balances it
Yeah.
out.
That's true. Not to burn out on like one thing.
Yeah.
And I have a question. Like, on Instagram, like I know a lot of people right now are talking about the fact they miss like seeing pictures. Do you remember the time when you used to go on Instagram and it was only
Oh
pictures?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you miss
Yes,
that
I
time?
honestly kind of do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm going to,
A lot of people are like talking
but
about
I
that
don't
right
think
now.
what's his name, the Instagram Lord will do much about that. Unfortunately, I just kind of just gotten
Yeah, I
used to
think
it.
they like the time we spend like scrolling and
Yeah,
stuff. But do you post
I
pictures?
do. I still do. I haven't posted a picture in a long time, but I definitely still post pictures because I'm like, we gotta bring back the photos. Photos, I think, will always be great. 100%. It's like just nice to scroll through like pictures that are like inspiring. Sometimes, posting
Yes.
I'll post a picture and behind the picture will be like a reel explaining how I made the thing. But other than that, sometimes just
Yeah.
looking at a nice photo, it's just it gives me more inspiration than watching the person make the thing.
That's true. I feel it's easier to find inspiration. Like you go on someoone profile and you just see all their pictures
Yeah.
and like I miss that
I
time.
know. It's so sad. And Pinterest is just not the
Mm,
same. It just doesn't really hit the
yeah.
same.
I
That's
like
only it.
Pinterest though. I use it a lot.
Me
You
too.
don't? Yeah.
I do, but I just forget to post there. And
Yeah,
also
me
just
too.
because
All the time.
yeah, and I'm like it just isn't the same picture-wise as Instagram. I don't know. I feel like
It's
Instagram I would get
different. Yeah.
more artist, but Pinterest is just like a mix of everything that I like. So, mm.
Yeah. I love like Pinterest to find like home decor inspiration. Like it's
Yeah,
so
me
nice.
too. Me too. It's so nice to see what other people do with their houses, what other people do with their attire. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll see like the occasional crochet thing or two that I'm like, oh wow. But half the time I've seen them on Instagram already.
Yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
thing. And the
That's
other
true.
half, I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then I'll save it. But mm, it really depends.
So you were saying earlier like that you like posting every day for you like you will burn out. Do you still follow a schedule or you just post anytime you feel like posting?
Well, I try to follow the schedule, and by schedule, I mean I just try to post one reel a week at minimum,
Okay.
and what's it called? One picture post at minimum a week.
Okay.
But I don't really delve too much into, oh, it's Monday, I need to post on Monday. Because
Yeah.
at first I would do that a lot. And then I realized that like sometimes I would just make a post just to make a post and
Yes.
not actually have much thought into whether someone would even want to watch the post that I even posted.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing. And then I
The
would get
quality is
discouraged and it's just,
important.
yeah, yeah, that's what I realized. And so I just figured, you know what? Quality is better than just quantity. And
Yes.
if I'm inspired, it'll be good quality. And that's that on that. I like to post, I like to yap. So I just figured, oh yeah, if I'm really inspired about something and I'm really passionate about a certain topic, I'll post about it.
Yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like consistency is for sure important, but quality is like don't post a reel just to post a reel because if
Yeah.
it crashes, it's not good for your page anyway.
Yeah. It just doesn't
So,
help you.
like, yes, quality is for that's why it's hard. That's why it's like it demands a lot of energy because it's not just about posting anything, like you have
Yeah.
to be
Just like
consistent, but you have to post something nice.
yeah, and it's sad because sometimes they'll post something like really nice and you'll be really passionate about it, but it won't gain a lot of traction like you thought it would. But at that I've learned that like, well, for me personally, I know that I don't really mind too much because at the end of the day, I always think to myself, yeah, sure, it only got like 10%, only 10% of the people saw it, but I'm proud of it, so I don't really care.
Yes,
Of
yes.
course, if
I,
that
I
keeps
feel it's
happening, that's when
important
it's like, because
not
then
to take it too personal. Like I know a lot of people that starts growing their page get really upset about the engagement of the
mm-hmm.
like, and sometimes it's just not personal. Like sometimes it's about the time you posted it, sometimes it's
Yeah,
about the whatever algorithm decided to push that day. So sometimes, because it used to
that's true.
depress me, like
That's true.
it used to make me very sad. When you spend a long time filming a
Me
reel and it
too.
doesn't do good, you for sure you take it personal.
Yeah, it used to depress me too a lot, especially when you don't have like great tools. Like, I feel like it's fun to make videos when you have good video tools. It's not fun to
Yeah,
make videos if you already have like an iPhone 6, like
yeah,
just grainy video and the videos don't even upload to 1040K,
yeah,
like it's not. I noticed like last year I my what's it called, my content changed a lot when I got a new phone in December. Before I
yeah. And
had
you
like
say
the
you started
S10.
enjoying it.
Yes, because it's like,
Yes.
oh well, now my videos look nice and pretty and such, and
Yeah.
that's always fun. I didn't realize that I didn't enjoy it a lot because, well, it just wasn't fun making videos because I would always look at the end result and be like, ah, well, it doesn't really look nice. Because you kind of see
Yes.
videos as an extension of your own art already. Making videos is art.
Absolutely. Yes.
So it's like if I crochet something and I was just like, I don't know,
Yeah.
but I still sold it anyway.
Yeah.
I would not be happy about it. A
Yeah,
hundred
a good
percent.
quality picture is important, like a good
Mm-hmm.
video. But I say like a newest phone is good enough. Like, my
That's
husband
true.
last Christmas was telling me like, hey, if you want, I get you whatever camera. And I was like I have the iPhone 13, and I was like, I
Ooh.
don't think I need something better than that. And maybe I'm wrong,
Mm.
but I guess like one of the newest like phone is fine, right?
Yeah, I think so too. And it sucks too because like some people like to say, well, if your content's good, then that's all that matters. But the fact of the matter is that a lot of people on social media that have, we always see videos that like go viral or like have a lot of views. Like that's just how it is. You open Instagram or TikTok and you'll just always see videos with at least like, I don't know, 5,000 likes or 10,000 likes or so. And so all those videos will oftentimes have really good quality to their videos,
Yeah,
just the resolution in general. And as
yeah,
artists, especially if you're doing art as like your whole like content thing, it's kind of hard to make art content and your videos are kind of like the best resolution.
yeah.
It's
I feel you have at
the
least to
only
have like
thing where it's
4K. Do you film
yeah.
in 4K?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
honestly, it depends because it takes up a lot of space.
that's true.
That's the
That's
only
true. Yeah,
thing. That is the only thing. So I feel like in some cases, sometimes it's a little bit of a barrier. But then
mm,
again, I only got this phone recently, so and it's not like
yeah.
I've been
And
doing
you
this
grew
for a long.
before.
Yeah, so that's where
Yeah.
I'm like, it really depends on the content. It really does.
Yeah. And what you put, like, I feel like if your creations are good, honestly, like, even if the quality of the video is not that great, I feel it still does good because
Yeah.
we like to see nice things, like nice
Yeah.
crochet cute things.
Yeah, we really
Yeah.
do as people. We really do. And I always like to tell because I was trying to tell my sister too, because she also wanted to start her own like art business, but not in crochet, because she doesn't crochet anymore. She just draws digitally. And I was telling her that a
Oh,
lot of people, a lot of us, as you have like a piece of art that you made, and you're like, obviously, this is the best piece of art I've ever made ever. Obviously, you think in your head that people are just gonna like it too. You might not like
yes.
think that specifically, but subconsciously you think, oh, this is great. Obviously, other people are gonna like it. And then you just show it just like images. And if it doesn't garner a lot of views, you'll be like upset and you'll even doubt yourself as to whether your art is good.
Yes.
But I always think that you have to force people to like what you like. That's kind of the mindset
Yes.
I have when making reels now, is that I have to force you to like it too because I like it and I'm going to show you why you should like it too, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. And I feel like people can also see that you always do your best,
That too.
I
That
don't know,
too.
it's the best you can do at this moment, and maybe with time it's gonna get better or whatever.
Who
But
knows?
I remember I had followers when I started like crocheting, and I feel that was not great, right? But
Yeah, but at the
like
time,
maybe 50 people like followed me, and they thought that was amazing.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
feel people can see the effort you make in a piece.
that's true. I think so too. Like, that's one thing. I think a lot of us can see like genuineness all the time.
Try.
No matter
Yes,
what, you're
yes.
always going to be able to see if someone's being genuine. So, as
Yes,
long as you're
yes.
being genuine, that's always good. Like, sometimes people can see if you're just there for money.
Yeah, or like recently we were like on Instagram, you see a lot of people like copy each other, designs and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like I don't know if it's the best strategy, honestly, if you want to grow, because more original you are, you know what I mean? Like if
Yeah, I agree. I
you have to
agree.
be original, and someone's gonna like it.
Yeah, and I think especially for this. Yeah, especially for crochet plushies, because now when you look up crochet, I think I said this last time, but now that when you look up crochet, everybody's like, oh yeah, crochet plushies. Duh. That's the first thing that comes up when people look up crocheting. So, especially in the crochet amigurumi niche, it's so widespread. Everybody's practically seeing everything. So,
Yes,
now it's
yes.
kind of like you kind of have to do a little bit of your
Let's
own
move to the next
twist.
thing. Let's try to
Yeah.
do something
Mhm.
different. And I feel like I know as someone that use Instagram,
Mhm.
I I will be most likely to like a reel if it's different
Oh, yeah,
than
yeah.
if something like I've seen a million times already,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
And even if you are a new designer, like I feel like being different, it's you can be trendy, you can do stuff that are trendy, but
Mhm.
just do it in a different
In your
way.
own
Just
way.
try. Yeah.
Exactly. I like to
And
say
I
that
feel
too.
like that's how you're gonna grow as a designer.
Mhm. Mhm. But I will say it's a little difficult too. Well, not that that's difficult. Well, it can be, I guess, sometimes. But
Yeah,
I
it's
will say that
difficult. Yeah.
in this niche, it's kind of hard to say that to someone who wants to grow their business, but they're not necessarily trying to do it to be like an artist. They just want to sell plushies at markets.
Yes,
And they
yes.
just want to sell plushies in general. And they
Yes.
don't necessarily want to.
Well, in this case, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's where I get a little like I'm not really sure sometimes how to give advice because I'm like, oh, what are your goals? Like, what are you trying
Oh,
to do?
yes.
You know?
So I think what the first thing we can say is actually, what's your purpose as a
Hmm.
business owner? Like, I feel it's very important to find what you want to do. Like, do you want to sell patterns? Do you want to sell at markets? Do you want to
Yeah.
do both? Because it's so interesting you say that, because I struggled with that when I started.
Really?
Like, I just didn't really know in what direction I wanted to go.
Oh.
I didn't know if I wanted to sell my plushies and use other people patterns, or if I just wanted to write my own.
Hmm.
So I feel it's also good, like, to try to figure it out what you want to do with your business. And you
Yeah.
can do both, obviously, but just to know, I feel, what you want to do.
That's so true. I agree because I knew that when I started my business that I did not want to use anyone else's pattern. Off the bat, I knew, oh yeah, I need to
Yeah.
make this from scratch for sure.
Yeah, you wanted to create your
Yeah,
own.
I was like, but that's how I always am. I'm the type of person that's like, if it can be done by myself, then I'm gonna do it by myself, and it's gonna
Yes,
be fun in the
yes.
meantime. But that's definitely something I think is so important to do. You really have to think about what your goals are in the future, because for some people it's just to sell at markets, and in that case, I'm just like, oh yeah, set time aside
Ye-
to sell inventory and sign up for markets and make sure that you do this, and this and this. But for
yeah.
more other like things that you want to do, like, oh, I want to like have an empire. Nobody's ever said that, but I want to have a crochet empire.
I
And it's
wish I had a
yeah,
crochet
and
empire.
it's like, oh yeah, we got to really start thinking like a businessman, I guess, which is kind of gross
Yeah,
because
yes.
we're artists, we're not business people. But unfortunately, in the
Oh,
world of
it's
social
hard.
media,
And I feel we still have to be like
yeah,
businesswomen.
yeah,
Like I have to think about numbers,
I
and
know
I think it's part of it,
it's
yes.
not.
As any business, I feel you always have to count a little bit, you
That's
know?
true. That's true. Whether it's for taxes or just counting stitches, I guess. There's always going
Yeah.
to be some sort of numbers involved. And that's the only thing about it. You can't just do one, you got to do it all. Hmm.
Yeah, keep track of your expenses for
Yeah,
tax
for
season.
tax season. That's so. I don't like doing taxes out. It'll never be
Me too.
fun.
It gives me anxiety every time I receive the mail, like in December. You
Oh,
start receiving the mails,
yeah.
and I'm like, leave me alone.
I'm just every time it just makes me sad. Even though I set money aside every year, but I'm always sad every year to see that money actually has to go. But you know what? It is what it
Yeah,
is, I guess.
because you feel it's yours, you made
Yeah,
it.
that's the only
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's the only thing. It's
Yeah,
weird.
tax is something like, it's my first year. Like this year, I'm paying like taxes because it's the first year I made over like what like 12,000 or
Oh
something,
yeah. Oh yeah.
something, and it's the first time. So now I know, as you say, like to put money
No,
aside and
it's
stuff
really
because I didn't.
sad.
I mean, I kind of knew, but I didn't know how much.
Yeah.
And yes, I feel like if you're listening and if you're making more than, I think it's
Yeah, I
12,000,
think so
put
too.
put a little bit on the side. Like I think it's around 15%.
Oh, I always thought it was 30.
Oh, 30.
Yeah,
Also, I guess it depends where you live.
that too. That too. In the US,
Mm.
you should definitely save around 30 for sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, save
For
money
sure.
if you are making over 12,000, and also keep your expenses because
Mhm.
like
That
you
part. That part.
like little receipt from
You got to
Michael's
save
or little
everything.
receipt from
Oh, the
Joanne.
refunds you'll get is so good.
Yeah.
Yes. That's another
If
thing.
you buy a new computer or
Yeah,
a new camera.
that part.
Yeah.
For sure, 100%. For sure.
Yeah.
Ah,
But that is like you learn how it goes, honestly. Like I had no idea about that until it happened. So there is a lot of stuff when it comes to businesses.
that's
You just learn
true.
as it happens.
That's true. There are a lot of stuff. Like some people don't realize that you have to keep like all of your receipts, or sometimes people don't realize you have to save like X amount, or that some people don't even realize that what can be used as like a business expense, or some people don't know that you need to
Yes.
open up a business credit account so that it's easy to separate your expenses. It's just a whole thing. Like
Yeah.
it really is just
Oh yes,
thing.
that's a good thing. I didn't think about that. Like just when you spend money for your business, you just use a different account. That's a good
Mm-hmm.
idea. I didn't think about
Because it
that.
just makes it easier for tax season.
Mm.
That you don't have to
Yes, that's
split, oh,
true.
this is a personal expense. Well, this was a business expense, et cetera, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera. It's just so much easier that way. Or that if you don't even have money, because a lot of these times, if you want to like, especially for like selling at markets, to sell at markets, you have to put money up front already, like $200 or $100 or $50 just to have a set at the
Yes,
market. And sometimes you just don't have
that's
that
an
money.
expense,
Yeah,
right?
sometimes you just don't have that money
Mm.
up front. But there are business grants everywhere, like scholarships. There are small business grants. And they just tell you to like write an essay
Oh,
or write a video and you'll win like 500 or 1,000. I know Amazon's doing a really big one right now where you can earn like 25K, I believe.
damn,
Yeah.
that's
And it's the one thing I know. And it's just free money. It's just free money.
yes.
And a lot of people don't
Yes,
know
there are
that.
a lot of contests out there. Like
Mm-hmm.
my husband is writing a comic and he just won like a contest for starting like your comic or
Wow.
whatever. Like there is a lot of things that can help you getting set up,
Yeah.
and sometimes it doesn't even come because I told him, I say, do you have to do something specific with this money? No, like They just want to
Yeah,
help,
you
you
could do
know?
whatever
And I
you
think that's
want.
so
It's
cool.
fantastic. So I always tell people
Oh,
to do that too
yeah.
because sometimes you just don't have enough money up front to buy yarn and just supplies and like booth sections, and it feels like the system.
Yeah, a booth it can be very expensive
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, it really can. And it just feels like really terrible because you're like, well, how am I even going to start a business if I don't have money? Those are great options, I think, to get
That's
started.
true. Well, thank you for this
You're
advice.
welcome. You're welcome.
Mostly, yeah, when you want to do a market, you have to buy a table, you have to buy all these things that
So
can
many
cost
things.
quite a lot of money when you
So
start.
many things. So many things. But that's
Yeah.
my that.
And also, like something I'm thinking about, you know, like I feel also if you start posting on social media and stuff, you don't have to go crazy on buying everything when you start. Like,
I
because
agree.
l- like you don't have to buy the latest camera, you don't have to buy the latest
Mm-hmm.
computer. I used to edit my videos on a very very old like MacBook, I guess, or like but very old, and it was on iMovie and stuff, and it still worked out. So I
Yeah.
feel like you don't have to go, if you just start posting, like don't go crazy on buying like crazy lights, crazy. You can do nice things
What
with a
you
minimum.
have. Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
too. Like, if you really want to do it, then you'll do it with what you have available and you'll just
Yeah.
grow as it grows. You'll buy more things. Like, I remember when I
Yeah.
started my business, I think I had like $50 worth of yarn just sitting in my,
Yes.
just sitting on my table.
Don't buy a full
Yeah, you don't
yarn
need a whole
wall when you
thing.
just
You
start.
just need like a couple
Yeah.
balls and then you'll see how it goes. And then as people like it, you just order more little by little. Even now, I only order yarn little by
Yes.
little simply because I don't have the space for more yarn. But also because
Yeah.
it's like,
And
I don't necessarily need so much yarn all at once, all at the same time.
exactly. Yes. Yeah, you don't have to go all of it. Like it's, and it can be overwhelming. I feel like,
Mm.
you know, if you spend, I don't know, like $500 starting like your Instagram account,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get burned out because you won't get this money back right away, I
That
feel. So like
too.
you
Mm.
can get super discouraged
Mm.
and be like, okay, I spent $500, I got 20 likes, like it's not worth
Yeah,
it. And I feel you can burn out doing that.
that's
In my
I
opinion,
think
right?
so too. I will say though, I've seen a lot of people. Some people are like I call them like the procrastinators, but instead of procrastination per se, it's with money. Where they'll be like, "Oh, I spent so much money on this, so I have to make it work. I don't have a choice, but I have to make it work because I spent so much money on it." Yeah, and like it'll push them to a point where it does work. But some people think that they have that type of personality and it doesn't work out and then they do get burnt out like you said just because they're just not that type of personality. I'm not that personality type
Yes.
personally. If it doesn't work for
Yeah.
me, I'm just simply and I'm not inspired. I'm simply going to go about my day. But some people are genuinely
Yeah.
like, if
Yes.
I spent $2,000, I'm gonna have to make it work. It just has to work. And I'm gonna force it to work.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on your personality type too. Because people will force it.
Yes, that's true. Like maybe he can, I would say like there is two options. Either he can like motivate you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and just give you the energy of like, oh my God, I spent so much money. Now I have to make it work. I feel he can either motivate you or discourage you.
Yeah,
Like there is two
that's
options.
so true.
But I'm the same way as you. Like it's more like it will put a pressure on me. Like I don't know. Like I feel like starting
Mm-hmm.
slower. I like little by
Yeah,
little kind of
I like
things,
it
you know?
too because even if a lot of people, if you go super viral, let's say, congratulations, a lot of times you don't even have like the capacity to hold all of these brand new people, whereas unless it's like maybe a pattern went viral. That's great because those are just like unlimited. That's fine. But if it's like
Yes.
a plushie of yours went viral and everybody wants to purchase that plushie, or a crochet kit that you made swim viral and everybody was to crochet get that crochet kit, or something that you have to make yourself and put physical work in. That's just a lot of work and a lot of pain and suffering because you simply don't have enough inventory or enough time or enough legwork
Yes.
or arm work, I guess we could say, to
Yes. Oh my God.
have
It's so
all these
interesting you
people.
say that.
So it's better. I think it's always best to do. Don't try to go viral. Just try to grow little by little. Don't. And that, I
Yes.
guess, has to do.
Except if it's for a pattern.
Hmm.
If it's for a pattern, it's good.
But for everything else, it is not
But
good. It is not.
it can burn you
Hmm.
out. Like, so, yes. Oh my God. That's so
Not really
interesting you
fun.
say that. And I feel like also a lot of people goal, and it used to be mine too, like, is to go
Hmm.
viral. But what does it mean going viral? Because you have to have a plan for after the
Hmm.
viral, you know?
Hmm.
Because so to just to give like a very concrete example, I went viral with Mario when I made, my Mario
Yeah.
plushie. I went super viral. The- but I didn't really have a
Hmm.
plan, and I got all this demand of people who wanted to buy it. But like making one Mario took me like, like 3 days. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I said, well, if I have to sell it, I'm gonna have to sell it for like $400, to make
Hmm.
money. And I think going viral is one thing, but like you have to really think about what you're gonna do next. Like, what if it goes viral?
Yeah.
What if you have a demand?
That's true.
Because, and I feel like if it's a pattern, well, it's good because you just give them your Etsy shop
And
and
it's fine.
perfect. But if you are making plushies, like, that can be
Yeah, it
overwhelming.
definitely
Yes.
can. It definitely can. And there have even been times where, like, I've tried to make a video for one of my patterns go viral, but the plushie, a different thing, but a plushie went viral instead. And you may try to make something specific go viral, but the opposite ends up being true. And it's something else that
It's true.
viral.
You never know what can
Yeah,
go
you really
viral.
never know. That's the only thing. But, you know.
Just be prepared if this happen. Like, have a plan, have like
Mm-hmm.
something, because you we are not really getting paid on Instagram,
That,
so going viral is not gonna bring you a business,
yeah.
I feel.
That's true. Although I will say Instagram has started what's called paying people.
The
Yes, they
bonuses,
do those
yeah, but
often. Those
okay,
are nice.
but it's not that
Yeah.
much. Like, it's not like that you can create a full
Oh,
business out
that's
of, I
true.
will
That's
say.
true. The most I would earn per month if I didn't have like a viral video or anything was like $100. But to me, $100 is a lot of money.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't really care.
No, that's good. Yes, but it doesn't pay the
Yeah,
rent.
that's true. That's so true. It definitely
But
depends.
it's new though. I feel like it didn't used to exist. Like, I feel like I was invited to one like 2 months
Oh, really?
ago or
I
three
think
months
it's
ago.
been
It
it's been a
started.
little bit over a year. Almost a year and a half. Yeah,
Oh,
because I
okay.
remember them starting like
I,
last
I feel like I got an
January.
invite.
Yeah, and I remember being
Yeah.
like, "Whoa, that's
Okay.
so cool!" And I thought it was because TikTok state if you can get into the creator fund. So I
Yeah.
thought, "Oh, this is like Instagram's creator
Yeah.
fund. That's so nice." But
Yeah. And if you have a viral video, then it's worth
yeah,
it. Like,
that's
it's good
true.
money.
That's
Yeah.
true. Now it's like, not really, because they changed the whole programs after a year, which is,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. It doesn't really do much, but
I feel last month I made like 35, and I
yeah,
was
me
like,
too.
okay,
And I was
thank
like,
you.
well, it's not really much, even for me. That's not really a lot.
Yeah, so all to say is that going viral is one thing, but like if you want to convert this audience into consumer, you have to have a
Mm-hmm.
plan. That's really
Mm-hmm.
important. Just going viral to go viral is good for your
Yeah.
following, but you have to convert if you want to make money,
Yeah,
of
that's
course.
true. That's true. And even then, sometimes just thinking in your head, oh, I need to make sure to do this to make money, make money, make money. When making money is the main goal, it's easy to just dwindle off as well, I will say. And it's hard because a lot of artists
Yes.
are also self-employed and that's like their only source of income. So of course, in your head you're going to be thinking, okay, I need to make sure that whatever I'm doing, it makes the most amount of money, you know. wherever you can.
Yes,
But
yes.
unfortunately, because we're artists, we always have to make sure that we're putting our art first no matter what. Money's like second if you're gonna post on
No
social
matter
media.
what, yes.
But our art has to be
Yeah.
first, for sure. That's what
Yes.
I always say.
Like I feel being genuine, and this is my case. Like this is my full-time job. That's how
Mm-hmm.
I make money every month. But I feel like it's really important to, yeah, keep this like genuine love for crochet, and I still really, and I struggle with that for a while,
Mm.
because when you start like paying bills with it, it can be very
Mm-hmm.
stressful, and you are like, okay, I need to make something that everybody's
Mm-hmm.
gonna like. But I feel it eats your brain, to feel like, to like think like that. So I started like really refocusing of, okay, I'm gonna make what I love, and if it goes well, it goes well. If it doesn't, I will
That is
figure it
so
out.
true.
But
I agree with that a lot.
it eats your brain, like the
Mm-hmm.
pressure of
Is
making
a
money.
lot.
It makes you not make good
I
art,
think
I
so
feel.
too. I remember last year, my sophomore year of
Mm,
college, I lived with my roommate for a whole year off of campus in like a little dorm apartment where we had to pay rent, and the rent was around
yeah.
1,000 a month, and that's about the amount of money I was making on Patreon per month at the time. And so I was really trying to like make
Okay.
sure that everything I was posting on Patreon, every pattern that I would post on my Patreon, or all the tiers that I would, you know, do on my Patreon, that everything was like something that everybody would like. So I would continue to have that money for rent every month. And it
Yes.
was
Yes.
it was not the funnest because the funnest. It was not the most fun because I just felt like I was like just burning out all the time. I genuinely did. It was not a fun time.
Yeah, because you like it's
Yeah,
pressure, and I really had to walk away from it and try to remove myself from it because he was eating me
that's
alive, I
true.
swear. Like
That's
he made me not want to
I
crochet
know.
anymore. Like
It really is.
yeah,
It's really, really terrible when you have like it's like your only thing because it was really eating me up too. At
yeah,
the time, I was paying for rent, and then I was also paying for school, and that was just like not fun because I also went to school full time as well.
yeah,
So there's only so much time you would have to do
yeah,
crochet stuff. But now I changed and I live at home, and
yeah,
I have way more inspiration. And I
yeah.
think that's lucky because yeah,
Yes,
not
he
all of
goes
us are able
back.
to just live at home
Yeah,
and just have our own room and such. Well, even I don't have my own room. I'm
yeah.
underneath my bunk bed. Yeah,
You sharing.
so it really depends. But it's really important. It's easy to be, it's best to be in a situation or like a living situation at least where you can have the not the personality, the opportunity to step back. If you really wanted to, you can step back because you're
Yeah.
like, well, I don't have any big responsibilities besides like maybe one
Yes.
thing or two things. It's not like your living
Yeah.
expenses are the on the run just because you didn't feel like crocheting that one time, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah, no, it's important, I feel like, to take off the pressure sometimes. And
Mhm.
I notice that the good thing with like selling patterns is like sometimes you can take a break. It's
That's
okay,
true.
like so if your Etsy shop is doing good, like it's okay, you can take a week. It's important sometimes to take some like time to breathe and think about what you
Yeah.
want to do next, and not to do it for money for sure.
Yeah,
I feel
that
it's really
too.
important. You have to do it for
And
the
sometimes you
right
even have to have
reason.
another job. Mhm. I
Yes,
feel like sometimes when I
yes,
have usually times that I've been like the most creative and innovative are when I've had another job. Like when I was crocheting like the
something
birds
else
and the
to
rosy
think
maple
about.
moths and all the other random things that came up to my head. I was doing my little teaching job on the side. And I wasn't just doing this.
Yeah,
So I was just creative and seeing so many new things every day. You would think that if you just sat in your room and all you were able to do was crochet, that you
no,
would be more inspired because, well, I have more time and I could do so many things now. But
yeah,
I always find that, I don't know, like especially in the summer months when like nobody's doing anything, there's no school going on, everybody's at home for break. It's so easy to simply not leave the house and then to lose inspiration as a result because you're not really seeing things, you know?
Yeah.
You're just sitting. It's easy to
Yeah.
recreate the
No,
same
that's
things
true.
on accident over and over again. Even though you're making a new design, it's easy
Yeah.
to accidentally recreate the same design over and over again.
Yeah. Because your brain just
Yeah.
goes in round. Yeah, no, for sure. Like it's important to like do something else, think about something else, and yes, like even get if you decided to do full time, and if you decide to take another small
Mm-hmm.
job on the side because you just cannot take it anymore, do
Mm.
it. Like don't burn yourself out
Mm-hmm.
just for money,
But at the end of the day, it's not worth
because
it.
I feel like the money will come
That too.
eventually at one point if
So
you
too.
know if you're making like things you
Mm-hmm.
really love. But yeah, we are artists, so let's not burn
Yeah,
that
like
out.
it's just not worth it, especially because I think ultimately, if it's burning you out, then you just have to stop. Because burnout, number one, I heard that burnout takes like ages to recover from. Like people could be on burnout for years, and now you have to recover from
Yes.
years of burnout. That is insane. Honestly, that's really crazy.
Yeah.
I
You fry
know.
your
And
brain.
number two, especially burnout from like art. If your art is meant necessarily, well, art is meant to de-stress and relieve you. And so if you're doing something that's
Make you
supposed to de-stress and
happy.
relieve you
Yeah.
and it's stressing you out and not relieving you, now you don't even want to be creative anymore
Yes.
because you're just,
Yeah.
so burnt out from doing art. Like that's
Yeah, no, that's
the
so
worst case
sad.
scenario that you're so burnt out that you don't even want to crochet anymore. That is so crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And something I noticed, like I used to film myself a lot. Like every time I was crocheting, I was filming my hands. And at one point, it made me know, because it's such a burden every time you
Yeah.
have to film and stuff. And I really missed crocheting
Mm-hmm.
for crocheting, just like crocheting something new or like buying a
Yeah.
pattern from someone. So I started doing that again, and it made me so happy, just taking like 2 hours crocheting something I'm not gonna show, or just not
Yeah.
filming or anything, just for myself.
It
Oh my
is
god, it made
so
me so
nice.
happy.
I'm telling you. It's like when people live in a household where there's so much clutter and so when they're able to finally move out, they have like a minimalist aesthetic because there's no clutter anymore and you don't have to live in the clutter.
Yeah,
That's what
they,
I think of
yeah,
it as. And I think it's really important because you have to have some sort of balance. There has to be some sort of balance. And I think it's hard too, because
yeah,
if you want to be self employed, it's hard to have a balance as a self employed person because you have to make your own
yeah, you tend
schedule.
to work
But
all the
yeah, I
time.
know. And most of us don't really have much of a schedule. I'm not going to lie because, well, we're just thinking, well, we just gotta work. We just gotta work. We just gotta work to do whatever it takes to work. I
Just
know.
work,
And
yeah,
although, yeah, we
yeah,
set our own schedules, we generally are working like every day. Usually I wake up at 8 a.m. to work. And then I'm like, oh, let me eat. And then
yeah,
I work till the end of the day. And then I do the same thing every single day. And it's so easy as you're self employed
yeah,
to not even have a schedule or like any sort of balance
yeah,
because all of your life is
yeah.
just work. But Mhm.
About your
But I think
business,
it's really
yeah, yeah.
important.
No, finding balance is
Yeah.
really important. Like, and I think the sooner you find it, the
Mhm.
best it's gonna be, because it
Mhm.
took me so long to find like my balance.
Sorry, my
You
sister's
okay?
giving me something, but I don't want her to be in the video. Shh. It's all good. She wanted to tell.
It's okay,
She
worked
gave me this
out.
little thing, and she wanted to tell me where she got it. But I was like,
Oh, that's
no,
cute.
the podcast. No.
It's okay.
I kind of
It's
forgot about
okay.
that.
At least we know
That's
it's
true.
real
Yeah, they're
life,
all walking around me right now,
It's
but
not a
that's
setup.
all good. It's all good. I just don't want her to ruin the.
But yeah, I was thinking like the sooner you find the balance, the better it's gonna be, because like it took me a long time to like find time
Mhm.
for myself or and
Mhm.
stuff like that
I
after
agree.
starting my business. And like, yeah, if you find it earlier, it's better, because if not, like you burn
Hmm.
out. Like I remember sometime I would burn out a little bit and I couldn't crochet for 4 or 5 days. I was so over it. I was like, okay, I've been crocheting so much, so I feel like just like sometimes taking some
I think
time
so
off is for
too.
sure
And I
really
think in
important.
terms of social media, I think one way to balance and not really burn yourself out is just to have your personal social media account and your business social media account. Instagram has that feature
Oh
now where you can
yes,
just double
yes,
tap like the bottom of your screen and then it switches you to your personal. And I do
yes,
that every
yes,
time on like my days where I don't do work, which for me is every Sunday. So I just on Saturday
yes,
night I just double tap the screen. I'm back to my personal Instagram, and then I go about my day, and then I wake up and I don't see
yes,
any notifications from my business Instagram, and then I could just go
yes.
into like a normie, you know?
Yeah, no, it's really important to separate it both, I feel. And my dream will be to to have two phones,
Mm.
literally, like one for my business, because you receive like Etsy
Oh,
notification, you
yeah,
receive email,
yeah,
and even if you don't want to check, you always end up checking,
yeah,
because with Etsy you have like 24 hours to
yeah. I'm not
answer
a
a
fan.
message.
I'm not a fan.
And yes, it puts a lot of
Yeah.
pressure. And I was on my vacation in December. We were like on the beach, and it was so nice. And I was so mad because I kept responding like to Etsy messages. So
Hmm.
because I had my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and it just and my dream will be to have a second phone.
Honestly,
Like,
that makes
so
a
I
lot
put
of
it on the side.
sense. That makes a lot of sense. That would be pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
I know it's really sad that we can't
Yeah,
have
but
that sort
we
of
cannot
thing.
afford the
I
second phone.
will say that on what's it called, on Samsung devices, you can have like you can have well, and actually now that I think about it, you can do the same thing with iPads and Apple devices where like you can set certain modes. Mm,
Oh, yes. Or like the notification, you
yes,
can turn
yes,
them.
I do those
Yes. Yeah,
all the
no,
time.
for
But
sure.
on Samsung specifically, like I can, for example, on my phone right now, I can go and then turn on modes. I choose work or that's sleep. I choose work
Oh,
and
that's
then it
so
changes it.
cool.
And then only the apps I allow for work are on. So like my camera because I film, I'll let people call me just in case. You never know.
Like your
Yeah, yeah,
Instagram
yeah.
and stuff
Only
like
well,
that.
even Instagram's not open because sometimes I just don't want to be
Mm.
distracted. But like my bank app is
Yes.
open. I only have a few apps that I'm able. Oh, and my calculator because I have to count my stitches. But I only
That's
have a
so
couple apps that I'm
good.
allowed to open because I'm like I don't want to get distracted. And I do the same thing. I make like
Oh,
multiple modes.
yes.
Like I have one for sleep. I close all of my apps except like my light app because it's connected to like an app. My light bulb's connected to an app. And I have to turn
Yeah.
it off at some point. And like my phone, because you never
Yeah.
know emergencies, you know what I mean? And like I do the same things. I need to do the same for personal too, where like I'll just block all of my business apps and only the personal apps
Yeah.
can show. I think that
Yeah, so
helps.
you can really relax when you don't
Yes.
want to work.
And you can even
Yes, yes.
change it to
Like I
certain
feel like a
times of the day.
notification.
If you want to, you could be like, only turn it on at this time every single day. Like for me, my sleep mode turns
And
on.
turn it off
Exactly.
after.
My sleep mode
Yeah, yeah,
turns on at 11 p.m. every single day. So like even if I'm scrolling on TikTok, it'll be like 10:59 and I'm scrolling on TikTok, but as soon as 11 p.m. hits, it'll be like, okay, sleep mode's on. And then like after a couple seconds, everything
oh, that's
shuts
so
down.
good.
And I'm like, okay, great, because it stops me from like rotting my brain and just watching it all
Yeah,
night.
mostly when you start
Mm-hmm.
scrolling, it's
Yeah.
so hard.
Oh.
I always try, when I'm working on a pattern or something, I always try never go on like social media, like Instagram or TikTok, because you get
No.
distracted and sometimes you lose like 1 hour and you didn't even realize it.
I hate that. That's so annoying. Ugh. And then you just feel bad
Yeah,
because you're like, wow, I really wasted a lot of time, didn't I?
yeah, so I really try not to go on it. Like I'm like every morning I get up, I answer every comments, every emails, every like social media and stuff, and then I try to be
Such a good
done because
idea.
if you keep going back and forth all day, you waste
Yeah,
so
you
much
really
time.
do. Especially since your brain will be like, oh, let me go look at this. And then let me look at this. And then let me look at this. And
Or let me answer to that. Let
yeah,
me
because
answer.
you're like, oh, on one hand, you
Yeah.
think, well, if I don't do it now, I'm never gonna do it. But on another hand, it's so easy to do one thing after another thing. Like today, I was literally like, okay, I need to go order more yarn. And then I was like, oh, my emails. Let me check those real quick. And I checked my emails. And then I was like, oh, what was I doing? And then I was like, I need to respond to DMs. Let's respond to DMs. And then I was like, wait, I need to look for some inspo on Pinterest. So I scrolled on Pinterest. And then I was like, what was I even doing? I found some inspo.
Yeah,
And then
you
I was about to
completely
start my
lost it.
project. And then I
Yeah.
was like, wait, I need more yarn. And then I was like, let me go back on my phone because I need to order yarn. And then I realized that was what I was trying to do at the very beginning. It's
Yeah,
so easy just to get
I know.
sidetracked. It's so crazy.
Yes, yes. So it's really something I said myself. Like I'm like only in the
Mm-hmm.
morning and after it's over
Mm-hmm.
because oh my God, yes. Yeah. I feel having a little bit of
It
organization is
is.
important. I mean,
It
for me, that's
is.
how my brain works. I need to have like very set up
I do
task,
too. I do too.
in
Sometimes,
advance.
usually for me, it's like certain locations. Like for me, I only do university work at university. So if usually for me that means like after a class is over, I'll stay in the library and do all of my schoolwork. I won't look at anything work related, just schoolwork. And then I'll drive back home. And when I'm here, I only do crochet work. That's all I do. All I do is just work or crochet
Wow.
work or
Yeah.
whatever. Sometimes I'm like, if I have like tight like computer work, admin work, I'll go to like a coffee shop, I suppose. So I can feel like, oh yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just busy at work, just doing busy things at a cafe, and to feel like
Yeah.
we're around other people that are doing like the same thing. We're all working, so that's always fun. But
Yes. Yes.
usually I always have to keep things separated. Like I noticed that if I try to keep everything in
Location.
one
Yes.
area and do everything on like the same desk,
Yeah.
it just doesn't work out. And I would tell that to everyone that likes to start
Yes.
their small businesses as well. It's so not a lot of us can have just like an office, not all of us could just have an office. But like if you have
Yes.
things
Yes.
outside of just doing crocheting and prepping for markets and doing social media and stuff, do it and try to do it in another location, whether that's like your living room
Yeah.
or a library or
Yeah.
something. Because if you do your
Yeah.
you're like maybe you have a second job, if you're doing the work that you do at your job at the same table that you do the work that you do for like your side crocheting business, and you eat at that table too, and you do X, Y, and Z at the same table, it's so easy for your brain to just burn out as well because you're doing everything at the
Yes.
same place. There's no distinction in your
Yeah.
head. It all will feel like work because
Th-
you always do work here.
Yes, that's so true. Try to
Mm-hmm.
separate like locations. Like I know sometimes if I struggle like with motivation, like I don't know, I have to write a pattern
Yeah.
or whatever, and I struggle to if I am at home. Like sometimes it's hard, so I just go to the library, like the
Mm-hmm.
public library, and it's just so nice. It's quiet, and I have to drive a little bit. So because I drove there, I'm like, okay, now I have
Mm-hmm.
to walk because what else I am gonna do? So like sometimes I try to trick my brain and be like, okay, now you are at the library, you gotta
Mm-hmm.
walk. So yes, like sometimes removing yourself from like the place, like if you procrastinate at your desk, just try to go
Yes,
somewhere
it's
else.
so nice. It's like how
Yeah.
people, they can't have a home gym. They have to go to like an actual gym just because they're like, work out at home.
Yeah.
It's where I relax.
And once you drove there, well,
Exactly.
you have to work out.
Exactly. That's probably the best description I can give. Because sometimes it's just like you don't have enough space to have like we don't all have a space to have like an office for every single thing that we do. We just simply don't.
No,
But
yeah.
luckily there are spaces outside that we can go to. They're generally
And the library is just so
yeah,
nice. Like, I
it
love being there. It's
is.
so quiet and everybody is
And it's
productive around
great.
you. So you feel like you have to be
Mm-hmm.
productive.
I'm too.
I love the
That's my favorite
library.
place. I even have a little keychain
Yeah.
where like I have my library card because our library card gives keychains of our library card, and I keep those just in case I forget my library card because I always forget my library card.
Oh,
I always
yes,
have my
that's
keys,
true.
so it's like I'll never not be able to have a book. It's so great, and of course there's free
Yeah.
spaces to work,
Yeah.
free Wi-Fi. It's fantastic. I think it's like the only place I can think of where you can go for free, sit and work with free Wi-Fi, but
You have
you
Wi
aren't
Fi.
expected or you don't feel compelled to give money back. I feel like if you go to a cafe, that's fun, but
Yes,
sometimes you morally feel like, well, I'm
yes.
already here and I'm working. I have to buy something, you know? And we're not always trying to buy.
Yeah, mostly if you're at Starbucks, it's
Yeah,
like super
like we're not
expensive.
always trying to buy something. Sometimes you just need another place to sit, and cafes are not always that great because some cafes will even be like, well, if you're going to use our Wi Fi, you have to buy something off the menu. That's just,
And sometimes it's loud also.
yeah.
Like I feel like it's not a
Ooh.
quiet place. No, the library is perfect and it's warm when you go in the
That's
winter, you know, like oh
true.
yes, I love the library. I feel
True.
like in Harry Potter or
Yeah,
some
I
type of
know. It's so
movie.
nice. I'm telling you. That's probably the best tip for that.
Yeah, so that's a good
Yeah.
advice to go to another location. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Glory, for everything, like for this social media
You're
episode.
welcome.
I
Fun.
hope you guys like learn stuff. I don't know. I feel it's hard like to give very specific advice when it comes to
Yeah.
social media because everybody has to, I will say, like find what works
Mm-hmm.
for you and what you like to do because you need to enjoy the
Yeah.
content you are
That's
making.
true.
If you don't, it's not gonna work. So it's hard to give specific advice except I will say not to
Yeah,
give
that's
up,
true.
you know?
Because if you really sometimes have
Yeah.
to sit and think to yourself, if I had to do this for free, if there was nothing else in the world to do, would I do this? For, and if the answer is
Yeah.
no, then maybe it's just not something you should be doing.
Try to find a new
Mhm.
technique, yeah,
Mhm.
a new recipe. And if you like posting only pictures, well, you don't have to
That's
make
true.
reels. You don't have some pictures do very good, we have
That's
to say, on
true.
Instagram. Like sometimes I see pictures with like
Yeah,
20,000
that's
likes.
true. So it's not like all hope is
So
gone.
you don't have to do reels. You have to find, I would say, what
Mhm.
works for
Yeah,
you.
that's so
Yeah.
true. And you experiment along the way.
Well, thank you, Glory, for
You're
your
welcome.
insights. I really love
Me
talking to
too.
you
It's
every
always so
time.
fun, Matilda. You always have so much advice.
Yeah, thank you. Well, thank
Thank
you so
you.
much. You have a good rest
Yeah,
of the
it's
day,
only
right?
5 p.m. here. Mhm.
Oh, okay.
A
You
lot of
still have
time.
some time. Bye
Bye.
bye, Glory. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this new episode of the Crochet Podcast. Don't forget to follow Glory on our platform Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Our username is CraftingInglory. And don't forget to follow the Crochet Podcast on Instagram to access all the episodes. See you very soon. Please take care. Bye bye.